Shabba-da-dooba, shabba-da-cha. Scoop, scoop-ly-bop-boo, da-dooba-dooba-dooba-da.
The personal is political.
Welcome to Snake Oil, a podcast where the personal is political. We're your hosts, Juno
and Benzi, coming at you every other Thursday with radical vulnerability and authenticity.
To support the podcast, you can visit our Patreon page at snakeoilpodcast.com. There you can access exclusive bonus material
and other cool perks. You can also support the podcast for free by liking, commenting, or sharing.
Thank you for listening. Today we're talking about marriage abolition. So I recently wrote an essay talking about why I'm against marriage, and I think it's going to be published this weekend. It's still in the editing phase right now. But I wanted to talk about it because it's pretty much all I've been thinking about over the past 48 hours, and I'm kind of consumed by it. And I'm also really anxious about the response that I might get from people when they read it. So mainly like my friends and acquaintances. And
only your lame friends aren't already against marriage though, right?
Well, no, that's not true. I have friends who I actually care about who, not that I necessarily hang out with a lot, but I care whether or not they think that that I hate them. Or that, you know what I mean? I feel like people are going to take it really personally, and I do want people to take it personally.
Yeah.
Because it's both like a personal and political issue. The politics of marriage are personal. Mm-hmm. And that's the point of the essay, but...
I also do have friends that are not anti-marriage.
Right. And I just feel like people get really offended by that because they feel like, oh, like my personal relationship is being attacked. Mm-hmm. And
you're like, yes, a little bit.
Right, but I at the same time don't want them to think that it means, oh, like we're not friends anymore, or I'm mad at them all the time, or that I'm holding a grudge against them, or that I don't want to hang out with them. So I guess I care about like the social capital that I will lose from publishing this essay. I'm still going to do it.
Yeah, I feel like it's valuable to acknowledge, like, I do shitty things that are even against my values, you know? And I recognize the cost.
Yeah.
And just because I think you're doing something that has a lot of cost or that I'm against doesn't mean I'm against, like, you as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. So I hope that people can take it that way. I did once put a Facebook post up that said, abolish the institution of marriage, and 2 people unfriended me. And it's not that I care about having Facebook friends or not. I just care about offending people in real life and how that will affect my relationships with these people in real life.
That makes sense.
And it just also was annoying that people would get like that personally offended.
Yeah, I mean...
by it, you know? Like it just kind of like irritates me at the same time.
I can definitely see people thinking it's threatening if they find their marriage to be like super valuable and worth upholding in every situation.
Yeah. So we'll see. Okay, so 2 of my friends who I don't really even hang out with that much, but they're people who I do care about, and who I want to have good relations with, they are engaged and they're getting... Well, actually, so they're already married. They already went through the process of, like, getting legally married. Mm-hmm. And they had kind of, like, a surprise, like, wedding at one point, like an impromptu kind of, like, we're here, let's just, like, do a marriage ceremony right now event, and then everyone found out that they were married. So that was interesting. And now they're having like a formal wedding coming up where I think like their families are going to be invited and everything. So it's interesting just to see them posting about it and then know that I'm going to post this essay right when this is happening.
Yeah.
And that they're probably going to take it as if I'm talking directly to them. And I'm just wondering how they're going to react to it. Especially because they're both pretty anarchist. So it seems interesting to me that they're so, like, leftist anarchist and feminist, but that they don't see the issue with them getting married.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a necessity for either one of them to get married. Mm-hmm. I don't think that either one of them is really needs marriage in order to, like, financially support each other in any way. So it seems to me like they really do want to get married for some reason, and I can't imagine why. I don't understand it. So yeah, and part of me like wants the conflict though at the same time.
I know it.
like, it scares me, but I also, like, I'm wondering how they're gonna react to it. So that'll be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I actually also have a friend who's already married who is having, like, their wedding ceremony this year.
Okay. Are you gonna go to it?
I am.
I don't want you to go to it.
I'm gonna go.
Why? Tell everyone why you're gonna go. Tell me.
Yeah.
On camera why you're gonna go.
I actually am embarrassed about it.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
I think you should be embarrassed.
Because I am, like, against marriage, and especially against the state involvement in relationship contracts.
Yeah.
But I've decided in, like, the way I value the friendship that I'm gonna participate in it.
Okay. Do you feel like you wouldn't have a friendship with her anymore if you didn't go?
I feel like it would be a huge problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is really shitty.
And I do feel like it's a lot of the stuff I agreed to before I became anti-marriage. So there is, like, I don't know, there's, like, a weird part of me that feels like I should, like, finish this thing out and then, like, oh, well, I'll never go to another wedding after that, you know?
Okay, I can see that.
So, yeah, like, I feel really conflicted about it. But,
I understand.
And
it would be weird for you not to go considering that you're married. It might look hypocritical.
I actually don't feel that
Really?
way because I got married before my views changed.
Right, I know.
Yeah.
But still.
So.
Right? I mean.
But I still don't plan to go to other marriages in the future.
Okay.
Like, I don't plan to support future weddings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and just to say this, I will link the essay that I publish under this video in the description when it's actually published. So by the time this episode goes up, it will be published so that people know what the hell I'm talking about, what we're talking about, and why I'm against marriage. That will all be explained, and I think you, like, agree with everything that I wrote,
everything I read in
much.
the essay, I can't, like, recall anything that I disagreed with.
So that will be available for you.
I disagreed with one thing.
Okay, good. What?
You said for some people marriage is a necessity, and I actually don't think it's a necessity for anyone.
Okay.
I still think it's a choice with benefits and costs.
But don't you think that healthcare is a necessity? Like, access to healthcare?
It's like one of the big reasons I value continuing to be married. Because I want that, but I don't think it's a necessity, no.
I think that healthcare is a necessity.
Okay.
If you don't get healthcare, you could, like, die.
Yeah.
I mean, you believe in universal
healthcare. Yes, I want universal healthcare, and I think
So-
that's actually a huge step in the abolition of marriage.
I do too.
But and I see why people, including me, would get married or stay married for healthcare. But I wouldn't use the word necessity for it.
Okay, what word would you use?
Highly desirable.
Okay. Then I want you to get a divorce.
I desire healthcare more than I desire being divorced.
All right. I'm just putting that out there. I do.
Yeah, I know you do.
Okay.
You talked
You
about
already
it.
know.
You
Okay.
talked about it in the last podcast too.
Because, writing this essay just really, like, made it more intense.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wait a minute. And, like, so the other thing is that I was thinking is that I'm realizing that because of, like, the relationship that you have with Devin, the fact that, like, you are financially supported by him, like, not just with the healthcare, but, like, that he financially supports you. If he said, hey, I don't want you to ever hang out with Juno again, what would you do?
Well,
Oh, you're getting a little nervous.
No.
aren't you?
No, I will say that a huge reason why Devin is the person I chose to marry when I believed in marriage is because I knew, because we were people who, like, weren't interested in controlling each other, you know? So I can't imagine him ever saying that, but if he made that single demand, I feel like that would actually be a a way bigger problem than just, like, choosing whether to hang out with you or to be married anymore.
What do you
or to,
mean?
like, be financially supported.
What do you mean?
Because it would immediately be a sign that he's interested in controlling who I'm spending time with.
Yes, you're right.
So
and that is a bigger problem for
wouldn't be a decision between you or financial support. It would be a decision between being socially controlled or financial support.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which I would 100% not be interested in at all.
Right, okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, good. I'm just glad to know that. It made me a little insecure thinking about that.
Oh.
Well, and not just because I was like, oh, like, would she choose me or, like, financial support? It was also, like, the idea that you could very easily be socially controlled through the kind of, like, contract that you have with him.
I really enjoy my financial support. I'm not going to lie about that. And I love spending time and intimacy with Devin. But if he left me or did make a situation that I no longer desired being in, I am capable of getting a job and taking care of myself.
I mean, I think that's
actually
true.
don't feel, like, coerced by my financial situation. I just feel like it's fucking awesome.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, it still feels too good to be true sometimes. So if I lost it, I feel like I would just kind of feel like more part of reality.
Okay. Now, let's say that this podcast, I'm just, like, doing a little, like, interview. Let's say this podcast, somehow, we got a lot of financial support for our work. And then eventually, we were making enough money to do this full time, and you didn't need his financial support anymore. Do you think that you would still, like, is there, like, any situation where, like, you would have, like, your dream job, like, maybe doing this, where you, like, wouldn't need that anymore, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I'm just curious. I'm not, this sounds like so,
I mean,
like, I'm trying to, like, say, hey.
No, that's totally fine. Even if you are saying, like, Benzi, get divorced, it's meaningful to me for you to get divorced.
Well, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you what I want. And I'm, like, dreaming up possibilities that would make me feel better. I recognize that may not be what makes you feel the best. So that's fine.
So I will say, I feel like even if I told Devin, like, it's very important to me politically that we, like, get legally divorced, that he would probably think it was, like, annoying, but he would still continue to financially support me if the rest of our living situation stayed the same.
Okay.
Yeah,
I guess because I don't know him that well, I just had, like, all these doubts.
Yeah.
So, but you know him really well, and I trust your judgment that he's not a controlling asshole.
Yeah, and I totally actually could see if I was in a situation where I could, like, completely cover healthcare, or if universal healthcare did become a thing.
Or, like, UBI, or...
Yeah, or UBI.
Both, yeah.
Actually purposefully, openly getting a political divorce and continuing to live together. Stuff like that. Because I think
you would do that yourself?
I do think that could be meaningful.
I do, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would, too.
And I think that would actually be more transgressive than, like, getting divorced and never talking again.
Oh, yeah. And I wouldn't, I mean, that's not what I was even thinking either. But yeah, that's good.
So, that's just my thoughts on that.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, those were all anxieties that were running through my head as I was nearing the end of this essay. And then, like, I had a whole,
No, tell me, I love it.
You know how I come up with, like, weird fantasies? Like I had the fantasy of, like, well, how would I react if you died?
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, oh, like, I'd have, like, a mushroom ceremony, and... I mean, I want to, like, eat your body.
I love it.
A little bit of it. I still actually do. I want to do that. If you die, hopefully that won't happen. You know what I'm saying? Ever. You'll never die. I don't want that to ever happen.
What is dead might never die.
That's okay. I don't know what that refers to, but... But anyway, so yeah, I was having this, like, fantasy when I was writing the essay about, like, well, what if Devin said, okay, Benzi, you can't see Juno anymore.
Okay.
And then, like, you... like, were so, you know, like, torn by it, like, hurt by it, that you were like, okay, I can't even, like, talk to her anymore because it would just, like, bring up all these, like, painful feelings. And then I was thinking, like, well, what would I do? And I was thinking, like, I would go to her house, and I would, like, break down the door, and I'd be like, Devin, you can't fucking do this. Like, you can't keep us apart. I love you. Like, you know what I mean? And I'd, like, I'd have, like, a whole dramatic thing. And that was very romantic to think about.
That is very beautiful. It excites me.
Really?
Yes.
I would not take that well if that happened.
I actually wonder if I was the kind of person that would be willing to give you up for my, like, the protection of my marriage, if you would still love me.
I mean,
because that would significantly change who I am.
Who I thought you were. Right,
yeah.
Exactly. No, yeah, that would really piss me off. Yeah, which also brought up something that I am irritated about.
Okay.
Which is that when we were talking, I feel like this sounds so stupid.
No, I love it.
But when I brought up, hey, what if Handmaid's Tale happens? And you were like, and I was like, okay, this was during like a movie day, like we were watching movies or whatever. And I was like, hey, what happens if like if Handmaid's Tale happens, we're all gonna like have to stick together in solidarity and like fight this patriarchy, right? And you're like, no, like I'm gonna run off and like me and Devin can probably get an apartment together because we're married and we'll be fine. Or you're going to try to escape. So one of those two things. Now, if you try to escape, you're going to get caught and then you are going to be in trouble.
I don't know. We're pretty close to Canada.
You got to pick one or the other, first of all.
Okay.
You either escape and then you're probably both fucked. You'll probably end up a handmaid.
Okay.
Or just stay and do everything they say. But second of all, I was kind of like, what the fuck?
Uh-huh.
You're just going to like let me be like taken by the state?
Well, I want you to escape with me.
You didn't say that.
Oh.
You didn't say you wanted me to escape at that time. You said I would just escape. Now, I would want to escape too. I don't know. I guess, but part of me is also like, I would want to fight that system.
So for me,
you know?
that's like a very, like next level above healthcare is the idea of me being like physically tortured and my face being put against like a hot iron and like forced surgery, like. That all feels like way more intense and scary.
It is, yeah.
So, and even the decisions I make in general, like I care about society and I want it to progress towards what I believe is better. But ultimately, I value my own human experience. So.
Yeah. And I know that about you, and that's, like, one reason why we're friends.
Yeah.
Because I feel the same way. But I guess, so, okay, it wasn't particularly, like, escaping that, like, made me a little bit like, oh, like, I would want to escape, too. It was when you said, like, hey, I might just, like, get an apartment with Devin. And
I find that as less torturous than being tortured.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
And I guess that's just, like, a difference that I realized between you and I. Because in that situation, even if I had the chance to... assimilate and like have a husband and live in an apartment, my life would become so meaningless under that system that I think I would kill myself. Like if I had to live and like go to church every single day and like conform to this like really like traditionalist idea of what a woman should be and just have a relationship with only one man in my life ever, I would not, like, that would completely make my life meaningless. So I would actually have to fight for the kind of life that I believe I should be able to live.
Yeah.
Because living like a free and meaningful life is more important to me than just survival. So I was interested in like your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So I do feel like it is the absence of torture. You know. I think that the way my brain chemistry is actually set up, that I am capable of creating joy in any any like basic situation. Like obviously there are probably situations where I could be miserable, you know? And I already, like, for a large portion of my life had an expectation of that's what it would look like, is pretending to be a Christian and doing whatever a guy told me to do.
Okay. So
I definitely don't want to do that. I don't desire to do that, but I actually don't feel incapable of it.
Okay. And that's interesting. Yeah, I feel incapable of it, and I would rather be tortured and like fight the system as a handmaid then submit to that kind of lifestyle. So that's just a difference between us, and that's fine. But I would, that would be an interesting situation. I mean, hopefully it won't get to that level ever in our society.
Yeah.
So.
I really hope not. Or I hope we can move to Canada before that.
Well, we got to make sure it doesn't happen, I think. I mean, if you want to, I want to make sure that doesn't happen in the U.S.
Yeah, and
I think it already is.
So I do recognize that some things that I'm like excited to do with my life right now might put me in a place that it would be impossible for me to assimilate in that situation.
True,
because if my name was ever like, and it already is like publicly associated with lots of transgressive activities.
Yeah, like relationship anarchy. I mean, you're fucked.
Yeah, or like
sorry, I'm just saying.
Yeah, or if they like found my Instagram.
Oh,
it's over, you know? So...
Okay, I don't actually think you would be able to assimilate. I think you'd be pretty easily found to be, like, a slut.
Exactly. You know? So I think, like, as far as I could act, I feel like I could assimilate, but I don't think realistically I would be allowed to be someone who assimilates.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so if that alleviates your worries...
I don't want you to be tortured. I just... No, it's not even that. Like, I don't want that to happen to you, but what it is I realize that I resent that you could be happy in, like, that kind of existence, which is just, like, a weird thing about me, because I could never be that way, and so it just, is a difference between us that I realized, and it's interesting.
Well, I do that, I mean, you know, I do that thing all the time where I, and this is, like, has nothing to do with how I feel about people who have, like, genuine depression or anything, but I do an activity all the time where I'm doing something I don't want to be or experiencing something I don't want to experience, and I just like tell myself like, oh, just pretend this is how you want it, you know, and I am like pretty good at convincing myself of that. So yeah, like even
wait a minute, that's really weird.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I don't know.
So, like, an easy example is, like, sitting on, like, a really cold floor. I don't like to be cold. I'm somebody who, like, really likes to be warm all the time. But if I know, like, I'm in a situation where it's, like, more worth it to sit on the cold floor than to, like, leave a conversation that I'm enjoying or something, I could, like, tell myself, like, oh, just... pretend that it's refreshing to sit on the cold floor.
You have said that before, and you've told me to do that sometimes, like, just pretend like it's what you want. And in some situations, I think that's really a useful skill to have. Like, I think that it definitely aids in resilience. But in a lot of situations, it can just lead to, like, passivity of, like, completely unjust or, like, situations that, like, you shouldn't have to even deal with.
That is
you
true.
know? So I think that's a good skill to have, but I would be weary of, like, when to use it.
Yeah, I do think it has cost, for sure.
And that's also a difference between you and I, because I'm, like, super bratty. You know what I mean? And I, like, don't do things I don't want to do a lot of the time.
Yeah, and
so I'm always like, oh, I don't like this, I'm not doing it.
And I think some of the cost of those, like, two differences is when I, like, constantly... kind of like self-force myself to put up with things, it can make me a little resentful over time to people who are more expressive with their needs, or more like not expressive but less willing to budge on them. And then I would say,
like me,
I would say the way you act probably does lose you connections and friends.
Oh my god. I mean, I think that's true, obviously. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So
wait, like, who do you think? Anyone in particular? Or like...
I wasn't thinking of a specific person.
Okay, but just, yeah, I'd say that's probably true. I'm just wondering if, I'm thinking of, like, big situations where people have told me, like, hey, or, like, have sent very, very clear messages, like, I don't like you.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if there are a lot of other, like, subtle situations where early on in, like, meeting me, people have just decided, okay, I'm not going to talk to her anymore.
I totally think that's possible.
Yeah. That's it. I don't like thinking about it. I think I can be very particular, as someone put it.
Or, as I put it once, crotchety.
Crotchety. Which I don't like, because that makes me sound like an old person. Doesn't crotchety sound like...
I think it's kind of cute.
Crotchety sounds like a crotchety old man or something. Like, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
I like my personality that way.
I do too. Like, I love spending time with you. It's something I really value about you.
I know you do.
So.
I like spending time with you too. But yeah, I think I would tolerate you being brattier just fine. Just
Yeah.
FYI.
I know.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Brattier.
Sometimes I do feel safe being like a little bit bratty around you.
Okay, good. I mean, sometimes you are a little bit, so
Yeah.
that's fine. Oh, but yeah. I am excited to publish this essay, though. I think
I'm very excited about it. I feel like I'll share it on my Facebook.
Really? Okay, good. I've been wanting to collect my thoughts into one essay, like into one place about like being anti-marriage, wanting to abolish marriage, because I do want to start like having more conversations with people in my life about it, and I just was like, okay, I need to organize all my thoughts. So that's like my main thing, and that's really why I write. Like I'm not super concerned with being a good writer. I just care about like getting my ideas out because I care. Because I want to like infect people's minds with my ideas.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why.
Well, I love your
I
ideas.
want to do this. Thank you. Yeah.
Somebody else, I can't remember. I was talking to someone the other day, and they were talking about how inspiring all your Facebook posts are.
Me?
Yeah.
Wait, just to you?
Yeah.
Or like with? Oh my god, that's so exciting to me.
I can't remember who it
Clearly,
was.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, people say that. I mean, I feel like that's like a primary thing people say behind your back.
And people say that to me all the time to my face.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. I had this interesting experience where, so the other night, a mutual friend of ours and I went to an occult poetry reading / music event / art thing, which you did not go to.
I wanted to, though. But not enough.
Because you were spending time with your husband.
I was spending time with my friend.
Because you were locked in a house all weekend that you could not get out of this contract.
I could.
With your husband, no kidding. That's what it sounded like.
I totally could. I was prioritizing.
Okay.
Spending some time with
No, that's fine. But anyway, so we went to this thing and there was a tarot reader there. And she told me at the end of the tarot reading that I intimidated her. Ooh. And she didn't even know me.
That's really hot.
But it was very exciting. She basically was saying that because that all of like the goals that I was talking about wanting, about like trying to reach and just like the things that I was doing. How do I put this? Those intimidated her, but more than that, it was the fact that she felt like I had like a lot of confidence and that I could like advertise myself really well. And so she was basically telling me I should be able to advertise anything that I want to create.
That's amazing.
Because I want to have my own candle company and like make candles. Yeah. So she was just telling me, yeah, like you'll be fine. You know how to advertise yourself. Like, and she's like, you're intimidating me. And I was just like, I don't even know how I'm doing that right now. Like, how am I intimidating?
You're very powerful.
But I have been told that a lot. This just feels like a huge like masturbation podcast like for me, but yeah, that's fun. I like hearing that I'm intimidating to people.
Yeah. I do want to talk a little bit about my weekend choice, just because I feel like it's valuable.
Because I like called you out on it. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because Bar and I had a little bit of a conversation about this, and I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Talk about your weekend choice.
So, I actually feel like it's one of the biggest detriments of being married and living together is that it's very easy for me to see Devin as like backup default if I have no plans.
Okay.
And then I always have plans.
That's interesting. Okay.
So it's so sometimes I like go weeks with like barely seeing or talking to Devin.
Okay.
And so it was important to me. It was important to both of us. We had talked about like intentionally spending a couple days together.
Okay.
And cool. So I feel like even if it was someone I didn't live with and that was like a need they expressed, I would likely meet it if I also cared about that person.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's totally valid. Not that you need my validation.
Yeah.
But I do think that's valid. Now, I mean, the way that I was seeing it is because this is your husband, the person you're married to. Maybe she used different terminology.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking like, oh, she really wants to go to this event, but she feels obligated to prioritize her marriage. And I thought like Bara said that you felt that way or something. Maybe that's not true.
So yeah, so I definitely did want to go to the event. But I feel like if I had if I had, like, made a plan with you that we had talked about for a whole, like, month, and we had a plan, and then there was another cool event going on that night that I wanted to go to that you didn't, I highly doubt that I would cancel hanging out with you to go to the event.
Okay, I think that, and it's the same with Devin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes total sense.
So
I was discriminating against you in that situation. I was like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, the marriage aspect of it threw off my judgment.
Yeah, and I actually am really, not just with that, but insecure about prioritizing time with Devin in other situations too, because I don't want to be perceived that way.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, now that I know that you often deprioritize.
Yeah, I actually...
that makes it different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, good. Got it.
Yeah, I felt like that was valuable to talk about because
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I did have some assumptions based on that.
Cool.
Yeah, and I guess I wonder how he perceives your multiple relationships, people that you relate with. I don't know. Can I tell you a little bit about a conversation that like Bara and I had, or is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I shouldn't say his name, but I did. Whatever. A mutual friend of ours. So I know it's too late now. He actually said that he feels like Devin. I shouldn't even. This is so wrong for me to be saying. He said that he feels like Devin is hurt by you being non-monogamous. He said that he feels like, like it's something that like he's not okay with like the way that you practice it or something. I don't know what made him say that, but it was interesting.
I think so Devin and I do have different relationship philosophies. And I do think that it's possible that sometimes Devin's feelings are hurt when I like do continuously deprioritize hanging out with him. But I don't think that has to do with the non-monogamy.
It's with the deprioritization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he also is non-monogamous.
I know, yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I don't think it has to do anything with, like, the other people, but just a desire to spend more time together.
Okay. And I think it's really hard to do that, like...
And I actually also desire to spend more time together, but like I said, it's, like, easy for me to consider, like, oh, if I'm doing nothing, I'll just hang out at the house. You know? So...
Right, and just consider him, like, background. Which he is not. He's a lovely human being. What was I gonna say? Just that... Okay, I think that something that I realized pretty early on in non-monogamy is that it can get, like, overwhelming with the number of people that you all of a sudden have access to and who, like, want to hang out with you. And then it can feel like you're meeting a lot of new people and spending time with lots of different people, but not necessarily forming deeper and deeper connections with a few people. And that
which I feel like I've
sad,
been prioritizing lately, actually spending more time with less people.
Yeah, and that's what I want to do as well.
Yeah,
I want to know who the most valuable people are to me, and like prioritize them.
And I think part of it is I've been non-monogamous on and off for like a very long time, but this is the first time I've had like such large and like community, just like access to so many people that I like. So it was easy for me to like attempt to like reach my tentacles out to every single person that I enjoyed, you know? And now that I've done that for a little while, I do feel more comfortable like pulling in to, it's like the options are so vast. I can like take the cream off the top. You know?
I despise that metaphor so much.
Just like the people who bring me the most joy.
The upper crust of the non-monogamy. No.
Not as people, but like just as far as how much joy they bring to me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, it's interesting because I think,
and that may change regularly.
Okay.
I just want to
yeah. I don't know what I'm trying to say. No.
Yeah.
I have a thought, but it's like I'm having trouble formulating it into an actual sentence. because I don't want to say something that I regret.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I want to make sure that I'm not just kind of like riding a high of having so many like social connections, because there are so many parties and like gatherings.
Yeah.
And so I really, yeah, like we were already saying, I really want to make sure that I'm forming like meaningful, deep connections with people, because that's what I thrive on, are really like one-on-one connections. Because I am an introvert, and so as much as I enjoy like group things, I want to make sure, yeah, I'm like finding those people who I'm really compatible with. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely don't want parties to stop at all. I love them. But
I don't want them to stop either.
I just mean, because before I was like truly attempting to create one-on-one experiences with just an insane amount of people.
Oh, yeah, and that's like impossible.
So then it was like, okay, well, I'll hang out with you once every 2 months. Cool, you know? And then I felt like every time we hung out then, including with you in the beginning, I had to get comfortable again, you know?
Yeah.
So things weren't actually getting like deeper very easily. And now that I have prioritized spending more like one-on-one time with less people, I do feel like I'm getting a lot more like deeper, more meaningful connections.
Yeah. I think what's also interesting is that without monogamy, which I think can make people feel like they have less agency, feel that way, even though they can still make different choices, but there's often, it's like easier to make excuses not to hang out with people, even if you really want to. Like, you can just say like, oh, I can't, I have a boyfriend or something.
Yeah.
And then that cuts off a lot of possibilities for friendships. So what's actually hard about being non-monogamous to me is that with the freedom that I have, when I don't want to spend time with someone, I don't have any excuse. I just have to say, I don't want to spend time with you, or I don't want to prioritize you. And that's really hard for me sometimes. So I'm finding that to be interesting.
Yeah, I have thought about that a lot, that like, even in monogamous dating, it's actually pretty easy to tell someone like, hey, I don't think we're compatible to spend every day for the rest of our lives with each other, you know? Yeah. But it's way harder to say like, hey, I don't think we're compatible to spend a few hours a month together.
Yeah.
You know? Like, that's a lot meaner, you know? Or at least a lot more aggressive. It's a lot more.
It's assertive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not, I don't think it's mean at all. I think it's assertive and might hurt someone's feelings, but people need to be able to deal with the rejection.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, it's just also harder to deal with as a rejector.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Rejecting people can suck.
Yeah.
But it can also feel awesome.
Hell yeah.
Depending on the situation. Speaking of parties, I feel like there hasn't been like a queer spin the bottle in a long time, which I mean, it's other people enjoy it.
I'm actually over the spin the bottle format.
I'm totally over the spin the bottle.
I'm actually really excited about all the parties coming up that are not that.
But that still involve possible group intimacy, sex. Yeah.
Intimacy. Yeah.
I'm in general, I'm sick of group sexuality.
Oh, I'm not sick of that.
I know you're not. But yeah, I'm like really burned out on it. I just feel like that goes hand in hand with like kind of wanting those one-on-one deep connections.
That's funny to me because I actually like don't feel like you do that much group sex.
I don't. I'm sick of hearing about a lot of sex from other people, quite frankly. Yeah, like I think I'm just getting bored with sexuality because it's like talked about so much, and like a lot of the group experiences revolve around it, and like for a while, like my, how do I say it, was like my introduction into like the social scene of non-monogamy was through like group sex games, even though I didn't like stay late enough for the orgies apparently. But yeah, I'm just like so burned out on it and feel like they lack intimacy, and that's not fun for me. I just feel like they're spectacles, which is totally fine for other people. Like, I'm not against that happening. I just don't want to do it anymore, so I'm not going to go to those things anymore. So
I find them like very valuable. Did we talk about PDA in the last?
Oh yeah, we talked about it a lot, and we're going to talk about it in Columbus with Clara and John.
Yes. I feel like something similar that I said to that, like people who I don't have access to very often, it's super convenient to be able to like have intimacy and touch and even sex with them in a group setting when I just like don't want to prioritize always doing that one-on-one with them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I find and I feel like group sex is like a completely different experience than one-on-one sex. It feels much more like community bonding style thing to me. I don't usually like orgasm during community sex.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like a totally different thing to me than normal sex.
I love our differences.
Yeah.
It's that's
and
really
I also
fascinating.
like barely consider a threesome group sex. Just to be, I consider that like pretty much one-on-one.
Like normal. Okay, wow. Yeah, I don't. I consider that group sex. Yeah, and I'm realizing I definitely don't want to use sex for community bonding at all. I guess I'm leaning more toward like kind of how do you even say that word?
You're pedestalizing.
Pedestalizing. I don't like that. Yeah, I kind of am.
Okay.
And that's just where I'm going, and that might be a reaction to like doing sex work for a year, where I'm just kind of having like an internal backlash. Like I really need this to go back to being kind of like a really special, thing.
I hate it.
And that might be what I need right now.
Yeah.
Well, you can hate it, but that's where I'm at psychologically.
Like,
so
I totally.
that's just how I feel. I'm not saying it is a special thing in our society. That's how I feel internally about it right now. And those are the kinds of sexual experiences that I want. And the word special is probably the wrong word. I just want it to be like intimate and kind of like not just like for anybody. Not like a community bonding experience, but for like the cream of the crop, as Benzi might put it. But
I didn't use that term.
that's like horrible. No, yeah, it's totally like a, I guess, kind of a hierarchical way of thinking.
I'm down for exclusive spaces.
Well, I'm not saying exclusive. Well, I guess that is me creating exclusive space, but it's like within
your body is an
That's
exclusive
true.
space.
I want my body to be an exclusive space.
My body, I feel like, is also exclusive space. There's lots of people excluded from it.
Yeah. But there's more people excluded from mine.
That's true.
Which is fine. Yeah, I'm really pro exclusive spaces.
Yeah.
Which sounds, I don't know. Sounds like what it sounds like, I guess.
I'm out of LaCroix.
I'm not. What else was I going to say? There was something interesting that you mentioned, but I can't.
Was there?
I can't remember it.
That I mentioned out loud?
Yeah.
Or earlier today?
No, that you mentioned out loud just now.
Oh.
But I don't remember it. I don't know. I think I'm feeling satisfied.
Okay.
With the
this is like our
about.
shortest podcast.
Yeah,
Is there anything else you wanted to say?
Nope. Just if you're interested in hearing about why we are against marriage, read the essay that is posted below on Medium, and then you'll know what we're talking about. And I actually, so maybe it's like too premature for me to mention this, but I want to have like my own solo YouTube channel, and I'm definitely planning on maybe just like reading that essay aloud, like creating an audio version of it for people who just want to like listen and aren't really into reading. So yeah, I'm 98% sure that that's going to happen. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
Okay. I also already have a solo YouTube channel called Benzi, which is my goddess name.
Wait a second. Did you tell me that before?
Yeah.
Benzi. I don't remember you saying that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's mostly just me like talking and crying into the camera about stuff going on in my life.
You're crying? Oh wow.
I didn't like actually cry, I just almost cried.
I mean, that's fine. Crying I'm pro crying.
I'm pro crying too. But yeah, so it's not like there's no production value or anything.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
You know what? Here's one of my pet peeves with like YouTube people.
Okay.
And I'm not like, I haven't seen her videos, so I'm not criticizing
They're horrible,
them.
I'll
But
tell you.
when people start a YouTube video and they say, I really wish I didn't have to make this video.
Oh, I hate that
I hate that so much.
Or they do the thing where they go.
Like, it's just, like, what they're doing is just totally against their will, somehow.
Yeah.
You know? Or, like, when they're like, I know that this is really bad quality, and, like, the lighting is bad, and the sound is bad, and I'm not prepared at all, but I just had to get this message out there.
Yeah.
They just act like they're in, like, some kind of, like, war zone or something.
Yeah.
They're like, I have to get this final thing out there before I die.
My channel's not like that.
Okay, you can't make excuses.
No.
Okay.
I love, so PewDiePie does these, like, analysis videos of people's apologies videos.
Okay, wait, really? I have to see this. I didn't know he did that. That's hilarious.
And they're actually, like, I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds hilarious. Is that what does that have to do with your channel?
Oh, just because they, like, often start with, like, the big breath, or they're like, I didn't want to have to make this video.
I didn't want to have to talk about this at all, but I'm going to make a 10-minute video about it anyway.
40 minutes.
So,
sometimes.
right, yeah.
That,
It's like, clearly you really want to talk about this, so.
Yeah.
That's always hilarious.
And I mean, like, if I had a controversy, I'd totally want to talk about it. I'm not just going to ignore it.
It would depend. There are controversies I've had that I'm not sure.
Okay. If there's a controversy going on, like, publicly around you, about you, right?
Yeah.
You would totally want to be involved in the conversation.
Well, I would I wouldn't necessarily desire to, depending on what you're like looking at me like
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah, fucking
I'm just
right.
shocked.
It would depend on what the controversy was. I would feel the need to, like, represent myself.
Oh, so you would say that you felt a need to make the video? I actually didn't want to do this, but I
wouldn't open with, like, I didn't want to do this. I would just start saying my message.
Okay.
I want to talk about my mindset regarding it.
Okay.
But yeah, it would really depend on the controversy. If it's extremely painful to a lot of people, it might actually be hard for me.
Oh.
Like, some things I don't know if I'll ever be able to talk about on this channel.
Wow. Well, now
One thing. There's, like, one thing I'm thinking that I'll probably never be able to talk about.
I think you should just tell it to me right now.
No.
Okay.
I'm not going to do that. It would depend, because it could hurt several people. I should just stop talking about it then. But anyway. Yeah.
I've never wanted anything more in my life.
I mean, you know what it is, but I'm not going to talk about it on the podcast.
Okay.
So let's stop teasing everybody.
All right. Thanks for listening. If you want to hear more from us, subscribe. You can also support the podcast by visiting our Patreon at snakeoilpodcast.com.
We love connecting with our listeners, so we've also set up a P.O. Box where you can send us anything that you would like. And the address for that is P.O. Box 1436, Warren, Michigan 48090.
You can also support the podcast for free by liking, commenting, or sharing. We both also have solo projects. I can be found anywhere on social media under @Benzi Now, and then I also have a solo YouTube channel called Benzathesius.
And I also have a solo podcast called Bedroom Eyes, which you can find on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and Podbean. And you can follow me on Twitter @JunoMariah.
I'll have all those links down below. Thank you so much, and see you next time.
Shabba-da-dooba, shabba-da-cha. Scoop, scoop, leap-a-boo, da-dooba-dooba-dooba-da.